What are jobs related to being a real estate agent? Well, there are lots of things you can do with those skills you build up as a real estate agent. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about a few of them, give you my thoughts, and we're going to go in depth with one that I found is very special, very little known, that most people have no idea exists and can be absolutely the most lucrative. Generally, as a real estate agent, you're going to think about real estate related things. And what could you be? You could be a property manager. You could obviously do property sales, like that's regular real estate agent. You could also do real estate investing, like become a fixer and flipper. You could do property management, managing properties for other people, as well as managing properties for your own portfolio. And there's some interesting subtypes in that, like managing short-term rentals like Airbnbs, or even being a short-term rental owner or landlord. You can also go into related things, like people go into home staging, setting things up for sale. They go into doing the photography for the interior photography. So a lot of different things you can do. Let me tell you about what I think some of the best ones are. I think if you really like the hardcore real estate aspect and you maybe have a little bit of flavor for renovations and repairs and improvements, then I think real estate investing, like a fix and flip type business, could be an interesting one to look at. I think part of that depends on your market though. I think if you're in a place where the population is growing, where people are coming into the area, then I think it's a great place to do real estate investing. I think if you're in a shrinking area, then you should not do that. I think if you're in an area where population is moving out, that's going to cause house prices to go down over time, and you do not want to be holding real estate while that's happening. And if you try to do fix and flip, it's a fight because you're buying at a price that's higher today than 6 months later when you're selling your house, the prices decline slightly. It is very hard to make a fix and flip business work in that kind of place. If it's flat, you can do it. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but you can do it. But ideally, a fix and flip business really is for an increasing area. Same thing, in my opinion, on a landlording type business. If you're in a business where you're going to be renting apartments or houses, you really want to be in an area where more population is coming in, because over time, that inflow of population is going to cause rents and prices to increase, and you're going to do great with it. And so I think that's partly market dependent. If you're going to do those things, then the most important things is you get educated. When people enter into, say, the fix and flip business, the biggest mistake they make by far is they don't realize how cheaply you really need to buy a place to fix and flip. And the magic number for experienced fix and flippers is you want to buy for 65 to 70% of retail price minus the fix-up costs. I know that seems like a big margin, but you really need that much of a margin because it's expensive to buy a place. You have closing costs and expenses. You have to carry it, so it means you have interest expenses and insurance and taxes and things like that. So it's expensive to carry it, and then it's expensive when you're selling it because you have commissions and things like that. So there are a lot of expenses associated with fixing and flipping a property. Plus, you have to account for the fact that cost overruns are common. And you may think your renovation is going to cost you $30,000, but don't be surprised when it costs you $40,000. And you just have to make sure that that's accounted for by having a pretty big margin going in. So the biggest mistake that a fix and flipper can do is not buying cheaply enough. And what people do is they get impatient and they'll say to me, well, I just had to do a deal. I'm like, a deal means you bought it at the right price to begin with. It doesn't mean you just did something to do it. So anyway, that's a story for another day, but that's, I would tell you, is where the trick is in that business. You want to make sure that you have a sufficient margin going in, and ideally you're in a place where the places are going up in value. Now, as a real estate agent, why do I say that's even a good job for you? I think you have a lot of skills as a real estate agent. You know what kinds of properties are popular in the market. You know how do buyers react to these finishes versus those finishes. Marble top or polished concrete top on your cabinets. What kind of cabinets do they like? Do they like pickled finishes? Do they like oak finishes? And also that's specific to areas. What they're going to like in Lake Tahoe is different than what they like in Albuquerque, and different from what they like in New York. So when you have that localized special knowledge, it really is helpful. Also, as a real estate agent, you'll have much better assessment of what places are worth. Because it's very important when you're buying a place that you really have a good idea of what it will resell for. You need to know how long does it take to sell places. What neighborhood is good, what neighborhood's bad. As a real estate agent, you have that knowledge. So that's really makes you a much stronger person. Also, as a real estate agent, it's typically easier to raise capital. Because from people's standpoint, if you're saying, I want to buy this house and fix it up, it's going to be worth this when I'm finished, you have credibility when you're saying that. So, there's a real estate agent named Alan Dahm in Philadelphia that many, many years ago was the condo king in Philadelphia. And this is back when everybody was allergic to condos in Philadelphia. They were like, nobody wanted anything to do with them. But Alan Dahm made himself the condo king. He built up a big reputation for being the guy who knew that. And then he started investing in condominiums and eventually investing in whole big tower buildings. And he really made it. He was hugely successful because he had credibility. When Alan Dahm said, I want to buy this building and I'm going to sell condos, Alan knew what he was talking about. He knew how to market. He knew how to price. He knew how to do everything. So he got investors and did really well because he had credibility. So I think the real estate agent to investor can be a very natural transition. A second version of that is being the manager of rental properties and especially short-term rentals. And you can manage apartments. I think that's okay. I think it's kind of dull work and very minimal pay to it, so I'm not a big fan. And if you're thinking about that, I would think 2 or 3 times about that before I would do it. That's commodity work and not usually paid. I think better work is work as a short-term rental manager and marketer. And you can do some really interesting things with this. I have a real estate agent friend of mine who manages around 30 properties in our community. And our community is very popular for vacationers. It's a beachside golf cart community that people flock to for vacations. And people spend a fortune to rent a house for a week. They'll spend $25,000 to $30,000 to rent a house for the week. And my friend, acting as an agent on short-term rentals, is getting almost 30% of the rents on those. So for someone rents, she can be making $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a week on that rent. And that's really big pay. Now, does she work hard? Sure. She has a team that makes sure things are cleaned and spotless. She has a maintenance team that makes sure that when there's a problem with those houses, they're fixed like that, like quick as a bunny. Because when someone's there on vacation, they don't want to be dealing with a problem with the house. They're going to jump right on it. So, and she's dealing with keys in the middle of the night. So she's got a team that if someone gets locked down at midnight, can go down to the house and unlock the door. So it's definitely work, but it's far better paid. And I also like being the manager because what you're bringing to the table is marketing expertise, essentially. You're going to make a great description on the VRBO site or the Airbnb site. Make a great description, get beautiful pictures taken care of, make sure this place is staged so it looks beautiful, and make sure that everything is just so, especially on the marketing side, because when someone's thinking about going on vacation, what do they have to look at? Your description, the pictures. They can look at what former guests have had to say, and you make sure as an agent that everything just runs smoothly and perfectly so you get good reviews. And also, if you're managing multiple properties, like say 30 properties, your properties get more popular if you do a good job. You become top-rated landlord on those short-term rentals, and that helps your clients keep their places rented more often. And the other thing, you might wonder, well, why don't the people just do it for themselves? Like, why would they pay 20 or 30% of rents? The reason they do it is because people don't necessarily want to be a landlord of their own short-term rental. You have to make sure that if there's a checkout at 10 in the morning and a check-in at 4 in the afternoon, that place has to be cleaned, it has to be spotless, it needs to be checked, and it needs to be ready for the next tenant no matter what. And people don't necessarily want to do that as a one property operator. They don't want that. So they're happy to pay, and they get much more money renting it out like as a short-term rental with someone else managing it than they would as a monthly rental. And they get rid of all the hassle. So you can make really great money with it. And I think as a real estate agent, again, you bring credibility to the game. If you're a real estate agent, people say, oh, I don't understand why you do this. And you could say as an agent, this is one thing that I do in my practice. I have short-term rentals. I make sure great pictures are taken. I make sure everybody's happy. And you can definitely build this business. Now, where is this right for and who is this right for? It's right for a place where people go on vacation with families, especially. I know when I go out with my family, I'd much rather stay in a house where there's a yard for the kids to play, where there's a playground down the street, where we can cook some of our own food, where the kids can get a snack at 10 o'clock at night. So all that stuff, that's much better. Also, places in major cities where there's a lot of people coming in. Places around hospitals, because sometimes people are unfortunately in hospitals for long time periods, especially children's hospitals, and the family would often rather rent a house keeps the family life more normal. And those are not going to be weekly rentals. Those are typically longer, like 30, 60, 90-day rentals. And those can be really nice tenants, and you're really doing good service. So those are good. Those are the good places. I don't think far places out of the way with little tourist traffic, that's not the place to do this. It's more like if you're in a place where there are lots of tourists coming through, or where there are lots, it's a big city, those are the places to do this. You can make great money at it. And as an agent, you're not taking a lot of risk. If you're just managing properties for other people, when it's rented, you make money. When it's not rented, it doesn't cost you anything. So I think it's a really good option for you as a real estate agent. Third one I want to tell you about is this business that I'm doing called Overages. Really, really cool business. And this leverages some of your real estate skill, but more of your sales skill. So if you're really good at the sales part of selling, this is a great business. And what it is when properties are sold at a foreclosure auction, either tax foreclosure or mortgage foreclosure, when the property sells for more than the amount that's owed in debt, then that extra money is available for the former owner to claim. And typically these amounts are anywhere from $10,000 to a couple $100,000, mostly grouped in, I would say, the $40,000 to $100,000 range. Because houses sell for a lot these days. Let's face it, it's an active market. And taxes certainly aren't nearly that high. So often there's, again, tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands available. And what your job is you get the lists of people who are eligible to claim money and the monies that are there. You get the contact information for the people, which is pretty easy with a process called skip tracing. And we reach out and say, I've got good news for you. There's some money that you're eligible to claim, and for a percentage of what we get, if we're successful, we'll go and do all that work and claim that money for you. And again, if we're successful, we get paid. If we're not, it doesn't cost you anything. So it takes advantage of those sales skills, and you got to sell past the natural skepticism people are going to have. It's like, yeah, I'm owed money, right? Well, they are owed money. You know that. That's why you're calling them. So you just got to use your sales skill. I educate people in this business. We have a sales script you can use, but use that and then go and get people their money. What I love about this business is it's very light to start, meaning there's no big upfront investment. You don't need an office to work from. All you need is an internet connection, a laptop computer or a desktop computer, and a cell phone, and you can be in business. And you just get the list, you get the contact information, and you reach out to the people and give them the good news. Just like regular real estate. Some people will hire you, like when you go for a listing, some people won't. That's okay. And you make great money with it. And you can be a one-man band if you want to, or you can build a whole team. It's a really good, lucrative business where you're helping people and helping them to get money back that they otherwise never would have known about. So it's really good work. Now, if you want to know more about this, I go into details in an introductory video that I did. It's right here on YouTube. It's completely free. So if you see a link up above my shoulder, you can click on that. If the link's not there, it just means your browser doesn't support that. Then just look down below, and there's a link where you can look at my introductory overages video. It's only 7 or 8 minutes long, so it's very short. But there I give you details so you can say, hey, is this for me or not for me? And if you want from there, I have an even longer, hour, deep exploration into overages, and you can see if this is for you. And if so, we give live events where I teach the business. I have a course that I sell that where we teach the business, and you can get all the support that you would need to go get a successful overages business started. I love overages. I think it's a great choice for a lot of real estate agents because, let's face it, real estate agent work is not as good as it used to be. You've probably heard about some of the lawsuits that are out there where they're saying that you can't share commissions anymore, where the listing agent can advertise to the selling agent, what percentage they can get. So it's really causing a lot of turmoil. It could easily cut the commission pool in half, easily, because I don't think that buyers are going to be selling their agent or paying their agent, 3% as a commission for helping them buy. I don't see it happening. So I think that it's going to make that business less lucrative. So you got to be looking for alternatives. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. If you like this, then please like the video, because I know that I'll put out more like this if this is the kind of content that you want. And also, I'm always talking on this channel about real estate investing, entrepreneurship in general, especially businesses that you can get started with minimal capital and minimal risk. They're my favorite kind. So definitely subscribe to the channel if those things interest you. And no matter what you do, whether you go on a little further and go check out the intro to overages video or not, I wish you all the best. I think real estate agent's a great business. I did that when I was in law school to help me support myself. It was wonderful. I loved it. It's a great, honorable profession. And thank you for doing what you do. And hopefully we'll work together. But if not, best of luck in whatever you go forward with.